start. Hello, everyone. I'm Marty Joel, and we have a sub today, Joel. Joel, what's your last name? Oh, Atkins. Joel Atkins. Cameraman normally. We made him sit on the other side of the camera today. Not a lot to talk about this week. George had a family emergency, and Ken Brown, he's coaching Little League Baseball with his kids. So we may take a few weeks off here after this show and let the sports world catch up to us. Anyway, Joel, glad you could sit in. How are things with you when you're on this side of the camera? You host many events with this thing.
Yeah.
You know.
I love being on the side of the camera. In fact, I think this is the first time I've ever been on local sports. And of the shows that currently run, I believe there's only one now that I have left to appear on. And that's Astronomy for Everyone. So, Don Glazer, if you're watching, I'm coming for you.
I don't know. Like, you'd have to be a city. You got to get in the city hall meetings too.
Well, that's true. I'm never in front of those because I'm in the booth yeah.
But you've had a long career here. I mean, you do the street fair. You do the walking around. You talk to the guys. What was that? That trailer show. That trailer show.
Yeah, the TCT.
Was fun.
It was. That was a lot of fun. So that was actually John Truitt, who works in the IT department here. He's a member of the Tin Can Tourist.
Okay.
That's how we found out about the event, and I thought it'd be a great event to cover. So I brought it up to him because he had appeared on Carolyn's Up, Down, and Around Town show. And it was seeing how those people restore those vintage trailers and their characters. And
they like to imbibe a little bit.
They sure do. And some of them were generous with their drinks. So it was fun.
Some of us are volunteers. There are no rules.
That's right.
I have one sport thing to talk about, and that is Allen Park softball got into the very final state game. They were state finalists against South Lyon. But unfortunately, their pitcher, Ava Bradshaw, a freshman, held him to 3 hits. And she showed unbelievable poise on the mound. And the Lions were 36-2 overall. They took the Division I championship with a 5-0 victory over the Jags at Sachia Stadium, which I'm not sure where that's at. But they call it, this article says she was only in trouble in the 7th inning, but because Molly Hoole of Allen Park, she led off with a double, but that was where she stayed. She retired the next 3 hitters and secured the 5-0 victory. But that being said, a lot can be said for Allen Park to get that far. I mean, their season record was 32-11. So they won the Downriver League 15th year in a row, I think, or won the district 15th year in a row. They're solid.
Yeah, I didn't realize that their seasons were so long. I was just looking at the record for the South Lyon team is 36-2. That's a lot of games for a high school team.
38 games, and they crammed some of it in. I mean, they got started a little later because we got started we got finished a little later in the bowling. But, this kid, obviously, the Allen Park coach claims, she's already got Division I stuff. So she's probably bringing it 60 mile an hour, whatever, 65, whatever Division I speeds are. I've watched it on the TV a few times. More power to her, but as a freshman, she got 3 more years to lead this team. I don't know how many games she actually started, her record for the year, but her team got off to a 2-0 lead. Allen Park had an error, and they got a single to score a run and an RBI double. And it was 2-0 after 1, and then the game went into 20-minute rain delay. And it gave Allen Park's pitcher a chance to settle down, but this girl did not need any settling down.
It definitely sounds like she won't be paying for college, which is it's always nice to hear as a parent and a student.
Yeah, we like to read all the students that get the free. Well, they're not always free rides, but they sign letters of intent.
Yeah.
Like I said, the game a lot of these private schools play is they'll give you half of your tuition, and half of your tuition is still more than what it costs to go to U of M.
Yeah.
Because I've paid $20-some thousand for my daughter to go for a year, and it would have cost her 30-something to go bowl for some of these Division II and III schools. So, I mean, why, she was good enough to get a free ride somewhere and smart enough.
I've heard it said that scientifically hitting softball is the most difficult thing to do in sport, in professional sports.
And this girl, being, she continually kept the Jags off balance, and she said every time the ball was hit, I knew my fielders were going to catch it. And if you can change speeds, 5-10 miles an hour, it doesn't always have to be a changeup, but if you can just change speeds a little bit, then throw the heat, then throw one not so fast, the worst they're going to do on the slower ball is pull it foul, And she's obviously, she's been well trained. She's probably been trained to be a pitcher. I'd be curious to know if she plays any other sports.
Yeah, I think in the pitching position in baseball and the goaltending position in hockey are probably the most mentally difficult positions. But like a key point there, when you have a team in front of you or behind you, in this case, that you can trust, I think that really helps with that mental side of the game where you don't have to be perfect. You don't always have to bring your best stuff. Or you can, like you mentioned, you can change up your pitches where maybe if you knew you had someone leaky at one of the bases, you're trying to avoid a pitch that's going to be hit that way. I think it's that mental confidence for a pitcher or a goaltender, knowing your team has your back, I think goes a long way. Yeah,
leaky is a very good term because there are a lot of, the funny thing about softball, like I coached rec ball a lot, and you can't hide the weak kids. The ball finds them.
Yeah.
The ball finds them. It doesn't matter. And in rec ball, there are more weak kids than a travel team. I've helped coach the travel team before. When you can pick your players, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy to coach that way.
And it takes about one error for all the players to realize. I remember being in Little League. You play an inning or two, and everyone's coming to the dugout like, hit it to second base.
Yeah, if they're that good that they could even hit it.
Right.
But anyway, I want to give a shout-out to the Allen Park softball team. They're a young team. I don't think they have too many seniors, so they're going to be back in the mix. And I think it's great that they got that far. And we'll see what next year holds. We don't know. I'd like to be talking about our local teams that way, but Allen Park, more power to you. They've always been a solid program. 15 district titles in a row will tell you that.
Yeah, that's quite a run.
And we've talked before, the feeder system. Allen Park Little League, I've coached against that in softball all the time. It seems adequate, but I don't think it's anything different than the Wyandotte program. I think they just do a little more. And that really is all they got to talk about sports. They did do some all-team basketball Division I stuff, and we had Legend Geeter of River Rouge. He's a senior. He was a first-team All-Stater. And for Division II, two kids locally, Malik Olafoye of Ecorse, sophomore, and Orlando Lovejoy, Romulus Summit Academy North was a junior. They're first team All-States in Division II. So we had three local kids make it to All-State in basketball. A little late for that to come out, but it came out. And we are here to talk about it.
Everything's been late, the COVID shuffle the last year and a half.
Isn't that the truth? So, being behind the camera, Joel, you've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And you take this thing out on the street all the time, so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. We got that vintage Wyandotte Stars baseball game that you guys record one of, and then it loops all the while on Channel 15. How do you even start, or hockey or football? You're back there. How do you? I mean, you've been doing it a while, but how do you get the cameras in the right spot? Who determines that? How do you?
With stuff like, let's say, football or basketball. The game itself, the venue, kind of determines where the cameras would best be positioned. The vintage baseball game is a little different because it is played at what I'd call like an open field.
No fence.
Yeah, no fence. Baseball is more difficult, especially for a smaller operation to cover because when we do a remote, we typically at maximum we'll have 3 cameras. And honestly, in baseball, you need more than that to cover everything.
But in your behalf, we're not going to the video replay to see if they're safe or out.
No. Luckily, we don't have to. That is not put on us. Usually at a vintage baseball game, we will have 1 camera on top of the truck, some ways behind home plate. We will have 1 camera on the first base line, and then we may put 1 in center field, which is a risky venture because, again, there's no fence.
Right.
And we've had a few situations where the cameraman had to be a little bit quick out there.
Would be handheld out there, or is it tripod?
No, we put on a tripod. So, hey, if they hit it, they hit it. 2 years ago, though, it was fun because for the longest time, it's vintage baseball. So there's an element of fun, even silliness involved. They play by the old-time rules. They've got these silly nicknames that they go by. So I got to do color commentary with some of the players, and they kind of just a rotating cast as they had to take the field or bat, and that was a lot of fun. Of course, last year, most things it was canceled. Right. So, yeah, an event like that's fun. Each event's a little bit different depending if we're doing a 3-camera setup or a 1-camera setup, which that sometimes is simply determined by the weather.
Right, and I've watched some of the games at the football and the basketball. The basketball, a center court mounted camera just moving back and forth seems to cover pretty good. You get another one maybe under the basket on one end and get a close-up every now and then. But it appears you can zoom in enough from the center court and you would be able to cover most of the game.
Yeah, when we do those 1-camera setups, I kind of, it's one of those things, I'll shrug my shoulders, it suffices, Would you like to have, those close-ups? Well, sure. But sometimes if, personnel or weather doesn't permit, you can't have all that. And
we're also dealing, it's Wyandotte cable, and it's the budget,
Yeah.
You guys are employees. We're here, it's 10 minutes to 7. On today's date, by the way, is Wednesday the 23rd of June. But we're here at 10 to 7. You've had a long day already, so you guys are mostly volunteering your time to do this kind of stuff.
Well, we have a 3-person staff in the studio, so everyone else is a volunteer. Days of shoots are interesting, like especially when we go and cover an event outside the studio, because you're outside or you're in the school. There's elements you can't control. But I always like, whether I'm on camera or doing commentary, I try and just take whatever that atmosphere is and guide that energy into my performance or my covering of the event. I like when we do the football games, I enjoy being on the sideline we'll put the camera like on a monopod. We're talking this fall about putting it on a gimbal to give us some more flexibility. But it's fun down there because it makes the time fly by. I mean, you're right in there on the action, and you got to be moving, and you have to be alert because, I'm 38 now. I do not want to be hit by those kids at full speed.
Coming up the sideline. Yeah.
I don't even want to have to dodge them because I'll pull a hamstring or something, embarrass myself. But being down in the action like that it's fun to be on a production like that.
Cool. I mean, it's something I wouldn't want to get into at this age. I'm kind of looking for less things to do, but. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this, on a weekly basis, and sometimes I, struggle to get here, and we burn it so quick, and then I'm out of here going back to doing whatever I'm doing. But keep doing it. Keep me and Ken are going to keep doing this as long as I feel the need that I want to. Need a couple more volunteers though, because I'm losing my partners left and right. I mean, do I smell? What's going on here?
It's funny. You've always had the picture of Ken on the table, and I'll tell a story about Ken. That's the thing. So I've been involved here, been employed here for a little over 7 years now, but I was a volunteer for several years prior to that. And in the time I've been here, we've lost a number of people. They've passed away. And, you miss each of them in their own right. But I only got to know Ken a short time, but Ken and I just clicked. It was funny because I never told him this because I didn't want to insult him, but he reminded me of my grandpa in his, demeanor. I mean, there's probably 30 years between them, 34 years, but we called a few basketball games together.
Right.
And I
He
always,
enjoyed that.
Yeah, I admired Ken for that because here he was. He had this disease that was killing him, and he knew it. And it would have been very easy for him to be bitter and sit at home and say, to hell with everything. But he would come out, and at the end, in his wheelchair, we'd get him up to the second floor, if you will, the gym. And for me, it's like, it's my job, but being able to call those games with Ken made it so much more fun because Ken had fun with the broadcast. Like, he knew how to poke fun at himself. He knew the game because he had coached. So I always enjoyed doing those basketball games with him, and that's not always the case. You don't always get a partner that you love to work with.
Well, he had that effect on almost everyone. Oh, talking about old vintage baseball, that the Wyandotte Stars, they will start up June 19th. Oh, that was last week.
Yeah.
Home versus the Franklins. I wonder how that went. Those games, don't they last like all day?
They can. They can go on for a while sometimes.
Okay,
yeah.
yes. And, so they're on the 26th. They're away at Mount Clemens. That's Saturday. Then they don't play again until July 18th, away at Chelsea. And then July 24th at the historic Fort Wayne. Wow. July 31st at Dexter. August 22nd, home versus Richmond. And then August 28th, home, the annual home classic. That's the one you'll have the cameras out there. And maybe if I'm not doing nothing that day, I'll come and throw my 2 cents in on the I'll be the color commentary.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the time, if it's a nice day, the weather's good, it's a nice, lazy summer day, you bring yourself some snacks and a drink or two, and it's a fun time.
Not that we condone that type of activity. And then they've got September 12th and 19th. They're away at 2 festivals, the Holly Festival and the Frogs Festival.
Yeah, the vintage baseball looks like fun. I played baseball as a kid. I played softball as an adult. I love the game. I don't know if I could make it as a Wyandotte Star, though, because they have a lot of rules that you have to adhere to in vintage baseball, and one of them, there's no foul language.
Oh, wow.
Well,
you just have to not talk much.
I've never been good at that either, so I don't know how well that would work out.
Well, the summer is kicked off the other day. Summer solstice was the other day. So that means festivals. And most of the festivals are still on. At a limited capacity, they're still on. And I know you can give us a little input on that. But Trenton, this weekend, June 25th and 26th, they've got a 5K and an 8K run scheduled. I mean, go to their Facebook page. Google Trenton Summer Festival and get the information that way. They generally have over 100,000 visitors.
Wow.
And with people looking for things to do in the outdoors right now, they could have more than that. And I mean, it's bad enough parking down there when it's only,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're selling, if they're going as far as bands and alcohol. I didn't look into it that much. But they usually have about 150 artist booths. And Trenton down there is always a good time. You've been once or twice, huh?
Yeah. I've been here in Wyandotte quite a few times. I love like art fairs. Just to see one great place to people watch.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but then talking
I can sell tickets because in front of my place we get to the Allen Park a little later and just everybody going by.
Yeah.
I could sell tickets to that.
If you like the people watch, great place to be. But I love art. I love taking in all the art and then talking to the artists because there's a story behind that art, and I've found a lot of them doing interviews for cable. They're characters and they've got great stories. I'm not shy about telling people, like when people ask like, oh, what's your favorite thing at work? It's the art fair. I love covering the art fair is my favorite thing that we do. So I always look forward to it and going out and getting the interviews and the shots and
mentioning that with the 60th Wyandotte Street Fair is art fair as they call it is July 7th through the 10th. That'll be Wednesday to Saturday.
Yep.
Wednesday to Saturday, July 7th through the 10th. They generally have 200 artists. And right now there's no bands. They also have a Facebook page to look into registering. And I kind of Googled all this before the show because we didn't have a whole lot to talk about. And currently they're talking no bands or the back area, the party area by the thing. But I would thoroughly expect Whiskeys on the Water to be throwing something back there.
I don't know. Did you see the council meeting on Monday?
No, I did not. Clue me in.
There's been some consternation of the events in what's known as Parking Lot 1. So
because they did have one about a couple of weeks ago.
There was the carnival in conjunction with the Swig and Pig event, and I think the week prior there was the Bark on Biddle.
Wasn't Swig and Pig out here? And
no,
it was
Parking Lot 1. Yeah.
Were there rides back there too?
Yeah.
Were they?
Yeah.
It's always a fun event, I know that. Okay, so maybe there won't be Whiskeys, won't be.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's what is it, 3 weeks away, basically. 2 or 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can change the rules to sell anything, but then you should be able to bring a cooler.
Well, so as far as the beer sales and all that, so they're running that through the social district, which is already in place.
Okay.
Where those participating businesses, you could go into one of them, buy a drink, and then walk the fair with it. Which
that'll be all right.
Not like anyone ever did that before.
No, never.
But yeah, there won't be any bans. There won't be the beer tent area.
Yeti cup always just has water in it.
Of course, you need hydration.
The next one in line is the Allen Park Street Fair. That's got to be one of my favorites because it's right in front of my business down there in downtown Allen Park. August 6th and 7th. That's a Friday and a Saturday. They've shortened the hours. They used to go 9 to 9. I think it's going 10 to 8. Well, it doesn't matter. My buddies show up. I usually have a spread of some sort at the shop. Currently, again, no bans and no alcohol sales, but I will say that Top Shelf across the street, they will be doing a fine business. They'll sell you a beer and they'll give you a styrofoam cup to go with that. And I love them guys across the street. They are good to me. After hours, if somebody can't make it to the shop and it's already paid for, they'll let me just set it there because they're open till 10 or 11, at Friday nights, and I can just put the package or whatever the guy's got, and they put it behind the counter, and then Joe Schmo walks in and says, "Hey, Marty left the package here," and
that's helpful.
So they're nice guys, just for doing that. So that's August 6th and 7th. Stop by Key Awards and say hi to me. I might just have a refreshment at my place. It's been known to happen. In fact, a funny story, I had a directional sign in my shop for now 2 years. It's been in there, but it says like Margaritaville that way, and then this that way, and I didn't know whose it was because I've had so many people in there, and no one claimed that. I asked all my buddies. No one's wives claimed that it was their sign. I just found out last Saturday whose sign that was. And they'll be at this street fair in August to pick it back up.
So how did it get there in the first place?
They bought it. They walked around and bought it from a vendor and then set it in my store and then went home without it. And probably didn't realize they went home without it for a few days. Who knows?
So how long has it been there?
2 years.
Oh.
Easily. Because we didn't have the street fair last year.
Right, yeah.
So I couldn't. And I was asking with Facebook and everything, hey, who left this sign? Never came up. Couple things before we wrap up here. Beginning July 1st, the library will have they're going through a reconstruction stage, and they're going to have limited browsing on the first floor. You really have to call them for appointments if you want to get in. And then limited computers, they're limiting you to a half hour. So if you're going in there to use their stuff, it's good. And then they're for the kids, they're having hatching chicken sessions. So I guess parents, you could take your kids there and look through the window on a daily basis until you see one hatch. I don't know how that goes about. But yeah, they have the library is starting on the 1st, is going to cut their hours a little bit while they redo the whole first floor and that. And so let's get to a couple of pro sports. You like to follow pro sports. I love the hockey that's going on. Our Tigers are now 32 and 42. I don't know the number before the season started on their number of wins. I'll be in Vegas in July. And I mean, you don't even need to be in Vegas to make that bet now. But I'm curious, do they make it to 500? Are they a 500 team? Do they were a lot of games back. Now they're only 10 back.
Whether they do or don't is a good question, but they've already exceeded. I mean, they've exceeded my expectations. I think just in general.
I agree.
I've been Yeah, impressed. Like, wow, they are much better than I would have expected at this juncture of the season.
I have a rule: I don't bet any Detroit teams. Not that I bet a lot, but I never pick for or against our beloved Detroit Lions because you never know. I wouldn't do it with baseball either.
I don't know. I think the Lions might be a pretty safe one to bet against.
Just when you think they are, they stick it to you. Our Pistons won the lottery.
Yeah.
How about that? It's the one Detroit team that didn't get screwed over finally. The Wings ended up 5th. They could have had the top pick. The Pistons had a chance a year before, I think, and didn't get it. But now they could have been as far back as 6th. They got the first pick. More power. That's got to help them right off the bat.
Well, if they drafted the right way, the first thing it made me think about, not that it was the number 1 overall draft that year, but it was 2 or 3 back in 2003. And Joe Dumars used the pick on Darko Milicic
instead of a foreign player.
Instead of using it on go look at that draft. They could have had Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. I mean, up and down that first round was like, oh my God, and you took Darko Milicic.
Yeah, and he didn't last very long.
Terrible pick.
And hockey, we got Florida 3-2. Tampa, I'm sorry. Tampa 3-2. And the other one's tied.
Montreal went up 3-2
Montreal went up
night.
3-2, so we're going to have a Montreal.
Which I'm eating a little crow because I was on Sportsline last week and said, hey, kudos to Montreal for getting through, but they're about to get smacked by the Golden Knights. I don't know what this team is doing. I think they're lulling teams to sleep because I look up and down that roster, I'm like, they're not that good. I don't what are they? They have great goaltending. They're playing the team game, I guess.
That's the favorite line. They're not that good. All he does is win. They can't throw the ball faster than 80 miles an hour, but you can't beat them.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, Joel, I'm glad you sat in. You gave us a lot of insight on the street fairs and stuff, and being a cameraman in general. If I was a younger guy and got involved in this, it might have been something that would have piqued my interest. But, now I'll stay on this side of the camera. Contact us, Local Sports Wrap Up. Don't forget to watch us on YouTube, and you can look at us on YouTube. We're probably going to take a few weeks off here and let the sports build up and go from there. So I want to say I'm Marty Janeski. I'll probably see you in about a month. We'll get the band back together, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Hi, Mom, and we'll see you in about a month.